Miss Cat. I'm not sure if you're still here. I think you probably still parked somewhere. I hope you're doing okay. I wasn't sure if folks would come, and if they don't, that's no biggie. We'll do like a brief collective read and get the heck out of here. But I just had the best party ever. Um, I wasn't feeling great, but I'm trying to, you know, push through certain things and change the reality of them a little bit. And so I was like, I don't know, I'm not feeling great. So I was like, okay, what always works for me meditatively quickly? It was like music. Okay. So I was like, okay, I'd already said my prayers and asked for help. And so then I decided, okay, I'm going to do like a little playlist of whatever, like, and Spirit throughout the first song and the second song and the third song. I think almost all of them. And then here on the last song, I had like, I'm crying because I'm happy. I had like four deceased friends that came and danced around, plus the guides whose names I don't know, and it just was really, it was really good. Um, it's really good. The party, like the full party, came in less than 15 minutes, and it was a freaking party bus, and it was amazing. And it's always so good to know how close they are and to hang out on Saturday night with them still. Here's Joe. Okay. Hey.
Hello.
Hello.
When you said that these songs were chosen, I know after listening to you, I now understood what you meant. Um, but because I commented the first one that I liked that song, and you said something to the effect that it was chosen.
Yeah. They were like, I was like, what do I do here? Because I'm trying to feel better. And they were like, music is always your thing. It's the quickest way for you to get, where you need to be. And so they threw out like the first several songs, I think almost all of them. And then, I can't name everyone that was here, but I know my good friend Chris was here, my friend Karen, my friend Deb, my friend Jean, um, all very different age groups. And oh, somebody
The,
just said
the,
my friend Tony Bernal was here too.
the music sort of reflected
I'm
different
sorry,
age
Tony.
groups as well.
Right, and did you hear that it took a decided theater bent, like the last two songs? And I think that's because they were like, "We're coming! Hold on, we were at some other party. Hold on, let's dial you in." Because like they just filled the whole right side of my room. It was amazing, so much joy. How is your food of the day, Kat? Your new meal plans?
Hello, Kat. I now saw your message.
Yeah, it's just pure love. The, the strongest drug that exists in the universe. I don't know if we're lagging, or if my question didn't come out about asking about your. Okay, here we were lagging. Here it is. Made mahi mahi pistachio coated with garlic mashed cauliflower. That does sound good.
It sounds really good.
The garlic mashed cauliflower, especially, right? Like, and the fish.
Yeah, yeah. I have a newfound fondness for cauliflower because I use it as a rice substitute and was very surprised at how tasty it was.
It's yummers, for sure. I don't know who the other person was watching. There were two, and it wasn't me.
It was me. I'm not in YouTube yet, so it was me.
Yeah, I don't go over there unless something's going wrong because it's just like, hey, one screen's enough, man. Hi, Miss Claudia. How are you today? Are you talking about like muscular fibro MS or are you talking about like cold symptoms, lady? Which part tastes good, Miss Cat? Are you talking about the fishy fish or the cauliflower? Yeah, I get terrible. I didn't like the first few years that they were saying, you have MS, hon. Like even if we're going to classify it as having a different source origin or whatever, they're like, you have it. And I was like, I don't know. I know I have something similar. I know my brain looks similar. But then I started getting the hugs, the MS hugs. Well, and the costochondritis, right? It's painful. I imagine that's part of what you're feeling. Because for me, even though the fibro burns everywhere, the costochondritis, and then if you're having a costochondritis flare and you get a hug, and for me, it's not like I don't know why they call it a hug. To be honest, you call
Yeah,
it like a
that's
python.
that's
It's
the wrong
pythons,
word.
right? It's pythons that wrap around, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay,
And
I thought
boa
so.
constrictors as
Oh,
well, I think.
constrictor. Yeah, they call it like a constrictor, right? Because it's like tighter than any corset that I've ever worn, and sometimes you can see it. I've shown people my waist when it's happening, and they're like, "Whoa!" And it's intense. So, where in your chest? So, like, are you talking about where your sternum is, or are you talking about like more like where you're like right above your diaphragm? Yeah, that sucks. Because I know everybody's different, but for me, when it's my sternum, it's the fibro or the alers because it's a different type of pain. And then I think the costochondritis, well, it could be a lot of things, but in my case, I think it's the MS because it's usually tied in with the boa constrictor from both sides or one side. Well, I'm sorry. I mean, I was trying to pinpoint just because sometimes different positions really help me, like either sort of yoga or laying in certain ways, but I'm not able to quite pinpoint. But so I'm sorry it's going on.
Kat, you said it tastes good, but you're trying to get past this stigma. What stigma are you referring to?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. It was the fish or the cauliflower. Start shuffling. I have a feeling we're just going to be reading like for the collective and going soon.
I mean, one of the things that it took getting used to for me when eating keto was accepting the fact that you're eating fat because we've been sort of trained to believe that fat is bad, you know. So that took a little time to get used to. But you are eating healthy fats, not you know not bad fats. But is that the stigma you're referring to, or is it something else? Oh, I
Ah,
see.
yeah. Yeah, so especially if it's that's your whole meal, it's like, okay, I need to think of this as the spices that I'm tasting at first, the flavors, and not break it down.
Yeah, no, bless spices. They make anything better.
Yeah, I mean, there's some things in that everybody's got their things where it's like, no, nothing makes that better.
That has changed for me over time. When I was a kid, you couldn't get me to eat any spinach, but you know now it's not bad.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, most things you grow out of, right? But for me, like, what leapt to my mind immediately was shark. Anytime shark was cooked, like, I felt immediately sick, like
Uh
just from the smell of it in the house.
yeah.
Um, and
Well, I didn't know you guys you cook shark. That's
or
interesting.
listen, we're in the center of the country, but you got to remember my daddy's from waterbound south, right?
Right.
And so maybe in the south it tastes better, right? But here, no.
Well, I mean, we're pretty famous for our shark. If you go to certain beaches, you'll get what they call a bacon and shark, which is a kind of bread with fried shark on it and a whole ton of condiments, you know.
Yeah,
And
no.
so,
It's one of the few things where it's like, no, no, nope,
yeah,
nope, nope. If I can help it, never again. Trauma, shark trauma.
yeah.
But most other things, it's like, okay, I can survive that. Oh, venison is one of cats. She's like, nope. I didn't love alligator, but I didn't feel like it wasn't like shark made me sick in every way. The smell of it cooking,
Yeah.
the texture, the taste, how my stomach felt after, all of the things, right? But
Now, possum does that for me. And people here do cook that, you know.
well, yeah,
It's,
people in certain areas here do cook that too.
yeah.
But
It's,
I've been kind of neutral on venison and like buffalo. I mean, really, I've got really plain, boring taste, right? But I can handle things
yeah.
other than shark.
Now, as I get older, my tolerance for hot stuff it's just plummeting, which is very sad, you know.
Well, we love her right back, Miss Claudia. No deer or fish or pork for you. Not even bacon. I know that that's pork, but like, I guess it was hard for me to imagine. Ooh. Um, yes, ma'am. Now we do have the reason I had to start this channel, right, is my guides threw the gauntlet down, right? So I have payment information in my doodly bop, in the info box. And certainly sometime in the future, I'm hoping, like when I feel better and I'm not just trying to keep it pushing here to get things going, I'm sure I will sometimes go on the other channel and still do freebies, but they were getting mad at me, to be honest. And a lot of the other stuff we're offering here is, you know, free. So I think it's about Mark too, isn't it? Pregnant with Josie, nauseated the entire pregnancy. Ex's friend, a hunter, had a bounty, gave Scott some. Steph would open the freezer at 3-year-old, grab it, saying she went, oh, no. Oh, no. I haven't, I don't feel like, well, what age child? Let me ask that. Were they able to speak already? Because babies can communicate like in energy, but they sometimes they don't come in super strong with the language. Oh, yeah, that'd be. I'm sure that probably would be just fine. I don't seem to have much of an ageist situation going on. I mean, so yeah, so I have talked to, but it's sort of different, right? Like it's energetic and like a 1 day old, that kind of thing. Like I've talked to children I've miscarried, right? But it's more like what they can offer. Sometimes it's harder for people to connect to. Like they can usually offer things like, if they have an understanding why, like why they lived so shortly, or what they were intending to learn through that, or what they were there to share a lesson with, with their family. They can talk about that kind of stuff, but they typically can't like tell me a ton about like their house and stuff, if that makes sense. They can talk about what they know about, I guess, if that's sorry, my text went off. Yeah. Yeah, a 1 day old could, because I've had unborn children talk. But some people are very relieved, right? They're very relieved to hear that information and understand maybe why certain things happened, and understand that everyone's going to be okay. And some people want more, like, yeah, mom, I saw you in the room, and they don't necessarily have that same kind of memory because they hadn't the time to establish it, really. It's more like they can talk about pre-life plans. I mean, certainly if you called him, I think probably he'd be easy to access. Every once in a while, when, like for example, kids, I don't understand at all like the reincarnation cycle, but I can say, um, people that die as children seem to, if they want to, be able to reincarnate faster. By faster, I mean like in 20 or 30 years versus like, and maybe there have been some as quick as 10, right? But like, so occasionally I've been told like, hey, this is a guide. They are in a new incarnation, but I can provide you with information about that person. So, if it was like 20 or 30 years ago, we might get an answer like that. Um, but I think, generally speaking, Yes.
When you talk about pre-life plans, do you mean like before they incarnate, they talk about what they want to achieve in this life, or you
Well,
know?
okay, so like if they, okay, for example, my miscarriage, one of my miscarriages, right? Um, came through. They identified themselves actually as the spirits of my husband's mother, who is on the other side, and one of her brothers, who I don't know at all, right?
Hmm.
And said, and guides helped to, right, explain it, right? But it was like, hey, we needed to spark change in the family, and we knew that the you wouldn't make changes, you would tolerate a lot of things until you had multiple children to protect, or you had to go somewhere to heal yourself, and we needed to launch off a series of events. And it was like, I mean, I can see, and it was fast, right? Like, it launched off fast. I miscarried those babies. I mean, it was a natural miscarriage, which is horrifying. I never recommend that. Like, I used to think when they said I could avoid surgery, it was like, okay. And then it was like, nope, no, no, never doing that again. But so I was trying so hard to understand what the fudge happened, right? And because I had been sort of talking to them a little bit already, and so we had a little bit of conversation. So, but what in this particular case, like for us, what it launched, right, um, was like that happened in like early ish September, right? And I had to rush to the hospital because my blood pressure was, it plummeted when it first began, and blah blah blah. And um, then I had like a 2.5-year old to care for, and someone at home that was very, at that point, not just substance ill but mentally ill. And um, they knew what needed to happen is that we needed to fully clear out, right? Like when I'd cleared out before at different times, I never fully cleared out. I was always calling and checking up and blah blah blah. And they were like, we knew, like, we needed to put you in a state where you were like maintaining your body and taking care of your child, and that was it. That's all you could do, because we needed to get him alone with his thoughts, with his spirits, right, to set all of the change you'd been praying for in motion. And we viewed it as the fastest way, because when they first told me, I said, well, I get it, I guess, but I feel used. I feel really used.
Right.
And but then uh, it happened so fast. I mean, 3 weeks later, he showed up where I was at 5 in the morning. Like, will you come out and talk to me? Can you get me in a program? And I was like, yeah, you want to go tomorrow? I'll get you in a program tomorrow. And it changed our life forever.
Wow.
And so that's what I mean. Um, a lot of times when, and I've heard that for other people, like, if someone comes just for a day or not fully at all, right? It's usually that, or sometimes I've heard them say, um, we are healers and we needed to be in your womb to heal it so you can have healthy babies later. I've heard, that in readings. Um, for people, I've heard, um, no, it was my lesson. I wanted to learn about the spark of life, but I didn't want to live a full life because I'm doing something else over here. But I need to be reminded just of the spark of life and how that felt and how earthbound felt still. And then I was always scheduled and planning to go right back. And I'm sorry I hurt you, but it was just my lesson. So I've heard, several different things.
Wow.
One surgery, two at home. Yeah. Um, my second, I've had two and miscarriages, but they were both twin losses, which is weird. I guess they run in the family, but I didn't know it or something. But Um, the second one happened during COVID. So I would have marched my fanny in there and said, you know, I want a DNC, but I was too scared to go to the hospital. It was also earlier. It was earlier in the pregnancy too, so it was less. I was less terrified of what might transpire. Yeah, yeah. Sometime when you're up for a reading, Claudia, we'll definitely tap into him. But some people don't want to hear that stuff, right? They either think it's Fruit Loopy about the miscarriages and pre-life plans, um, or they wanted to hear more about I love you so much, and they do love you so much. That's why they're willing to come in and volunteer for those projects, right? But they usually are trying to explain it first. Also, Kat, I'm really sorry that that happened to you. I should have said that. I'm sorry to you too, Claudia. I know very few women that haven't, I guess. Kat, that was what we think like biochemically might have been going on with me, because they told me for years I couldn't have any kids, and then I had kiddo. But when I had kiddo, I was on progesterone cream that you put on your arm. Um, they make it like Stark Pharmacies, like specialized, like they, make it specifically for to match your blood needs and stuff. And so, from a technical perspective and not a spiritual perspective, I suspect, because I don't know, I have not asked why the second one transpired. And, so biochemically speaking, it probably was progesterone because I'm no longer on it. And
Progesterone is a male hormone, is it?
I think it's neutral, the way I
It's neutral.
understand it.
Okay, okay.
And actually, well, we need it, like, okay, so in the female cycle, right? Estrogen builds up and builds up and builds up, and you need progesterone um, to shed appropriately.
So is it like a counterbalance?
Yes. Oh, very super a lot much. Yes. You
I
need it,
see.
a good balance of progesterone and estrogen to have like normal menstrual cycles, to have normal pregnancies. Like, so, if you don't have enough progesterone, you know, you're you're not able to, like, basically you shed faster. If you have an appropriate amount and your body is pregnant, then you don't shed. If you have an appropriate amount and your body is not pregnant, you shed appropriately, right? Um, and then if you have like too much, like I think, then people don't. Those are the people that go long stretches like without.
Right. You're right. It is necessary for both men and women. Apparently, guys need it in order to produce enough testosterone.
Yeah, it's a counterbalance. Okie dokie. Take care of yourself, Claudia. Have fun on your call. Okay, so I've shuffled these pretty good because I suspect I'm going to wind up doing a collective reading and then getting out of here to jam with my homies some more. But man, like, I think everybody should have a playlist, a meditation playlist. And I don't mean when they're trying to meditate traditionally. I mean, whatever makes them feel like they can feel all the joy in the universe and that they're standing up for themselves appropriately while loving everyone, also, that kind of music.
My mom used to do that when there was housework to be done. So she would blast music and, everybody do their chores to music playing.
Oh, yeah. That's so makes it so much easier. Let's shuffle these other babies. I brought two decks up. Is it? Just give them some air. Let's get you babies some air. Oh, goodness. They're not going back together. Clomp, clomp, clomp. Poodly doo. Doodly doo. Yeah, I know. I wish I could play my playlist sometimes before the lives, but um, copyright. I don't pay for ASCAP or anything. Can't.
Yeah.
We're not a big enough channel to do that. But. I guess maybe I could create it as a playlist. Like I could make some playlists in on the channel, and if
I was
people like
actually
them,
thinking to ask you that. You took it right out of my head.
I'm psychic, bitch. Probably not.
No, I think it's true because just as I stopped thinking about it, you said it.
Well, I've answered your questions out loud that you didn't ask out loud. I know that's happened several times, and you're like, "Wait a second,
Yes.
did you just say?" And I'm like, "Wait, you didn't say that out loud." I
Yeah.
need to be careful about that if it happens more and more, because in public, people are going to be like, "She crazy. Who you talking to, girl?"
I'll vouch for you. You know. Yes, she is, but this isn't why.
Yeah, a different kind of crazy. It's not voices crazy. And it's one of you people calling me a witch that I heard your thoughts.
It reminds me of an episode of Bewitched where two aliens came and she was explaining to them that she's a witch. And one said, "A what?" And the other one said, "No, not a what, a witch."
um, Yeah, Kat, you mean like the type where it's like jinx because we're always saying the stuff. at the same time. Is that what you're referencing? Because that's how I remember it. There's a lot of jinx. You owe me a coke. Oh, interesting. Sometimes I don't think I'm fully aware of that necessarily, but I do know the jinxies. I'm very aware of those. Those happened a lot, especially when we first met. Like we were always saying the same things, and I was like, "Ah, ha, 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 thank you, universe," because we only know each other in print, you know, and so this is the best way to give us confirmation that we're syncing up, right? Yeah, I really appreciated that early on because I was like, okay, okay. I mean, also, the truth is, though, I was in chat rooms so much that it was almost like when I saw someone's chat name, it was almost like seeing a person's body for the first time. If they were somebody significant to you, just seeing their chat name, I'd be like, hello. It's like, how does that work? Like, literally, how does their energy transfer there? But it does. Yeah, that's an excellent word. Simpatico. 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 I've been listening to some things today that AI has now. There's a lot of AI voiceovers on things now. And there's some things that they say wrong, which I think is sort of cute. It's like, aw, universal brilliance doesn't know how to say archaeologist.
Yeah, I have some AI that read books out loud and they can't handle like apostrophes, and quotations. It always trips them up.
Oh, so it's like that S instead of
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, yeah, I feel better from the music. Yep, 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 yep. I was having a bit of a confrontational day, like not violently so, but and I don't mean other people were confrontational. I mean I was. Your total way of speaking. No, you say everything correctly for the most part. If that's what you're saying.
I have an aunt that's a nurse, and she has a sort of naturally confrontational way of speaking, even if she doesn't mean anything by it. And only after you get to know her, you realize what a softie she is. But
Well, they ask so many questions and assess like if a stranger is lying to them, and it's really like life or death if they're lying.
yeah, no, I'm sure it's a occupational hazard, but it's so funny that she scares so many people without even meaning to.
Well, especially when she's wanting to be like a healer too. I'm in the business where I want to help heal people, and instead I'm terrifying everyone.
Of course, she knew how to use it to her advantage, but it was always funny to me.
With apostrophe S and quotation marks. Yeah, AI might stumble over a lot of that stuff. Doot, doot, doot.
It is kind of creepy though how successful AI is at like making music to sound like a particular artist.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Yeah.
I don't like it. Um, I'm sure there's some wonderful benefits, but just like instinctually, I'm like, meh. Because it does sound like, I mean, it's on pitch, it does sound, but it's soulless.
Yeah.
Just like well, even with humans, when they use too much like auto tune or something, it goes too far and it gets a little uncanny valley. And so then it's like, this is uncomfortable. I feel uncomfortable listening to this. And they're literally being like, this is my jam. I'm a DJ. I'm happy. And it's like, no, you're not. You're a robot. I'm freaked out. To use the word just, do you mean like to say, well, they just got stabbed? Or are you saying like something about justice? Oh, yeah, okay. You know that girl that just got stabbed?
I learned something this week that the British and the Americans use the word quite in opposite ways. So if you want to say, it was quite lovely, an American means it's very lovely, and a Brit means the opposite. Means it wasn't lovely at all.
Oh, yeah. Well, you can tell just even by when they say quite.
Yeah,
Instead of it being like, oh, yeah, I'm displeased, it means like, or there's been a little bit of bullshit. It's like, no, a whole bunch of bullshit. Quite.
yeah,
In one word.
that was quite good.
Yeah, except for often it has a question mark. That was quite good. Thank you. We're looking for the right word. Well, okie dokie, artichoke. I'm going to start something for the collective. I reached for these first, so that's interesting to me. I usually reach for my favorite deck. Okay, I'm going to start here, I guess. So this is for the collective. Are you guys going to tell me, like, for how long this lasts?
I mean, the last time you did that, it
Universal.
talked. Oh, sorry.
What?
No, I was just saying the last time you gave a collective reading, it was about being offline, and the next day, had power outages like crazy. So it actually it was very pertinent.
Yeah, well, we even talked about power outage, I think, like during the thing, right?
Yeah,
About finding ways to be amused and joyful.
yeah,
Without,
that was the message.
and so, okay, guides again. I'm sorry. You guys were saying, what is this going to be? Like, what is the timetable on this one? Keep hearing universal eternal. So, okay. Archangels, angels, guides, and ascended masters, those that are of the light and from the light. Please give us a message for the collective that can be um, beneficial, educational, healing to everyone involved, to myself, to anyone that hears this or experiences this. Please help it be something that can talk about um, things that are soothing, healing. Well, actually, just please tell us what we need to know under those parameters. Please and thank you. I know I really don't have to say it to you guys. You're only ever offering loving advice. Um, but I want to make my intentions clear to everybody. Okay, you guys said 8 and then you said 9. How many? Okay. For the collective. And you guys know who that is. You know who will watch this at some point. You know who you're talking to, even if I don't. Ooh, throw in some stuff. Oh, wow. All right. Yeah. Y'all did the darn thing. That was awesome. Okay, we got the Hierophant on the bottom. Let's see what we got going on. Okay, well, so this is interesting to me. So it's really sort of basic stuff, but it's interesting. So I'll say what the cards are first. I'm trying to remember which deck this is because I didn't get the box out. Gosh, golly, gosh, gee, oh well. I think it's the Wandering Star. Okay, So we have the Tower inverted, the Ace of Pentacles, the Nine of Swords inverted, the Knight of Pentacles, the Sun, the Lovers. So there's a lot of major arcana in here, just to denote. The King of Swords inverted, the Hermit, and the Fool. So out of 9 cards, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 major arcana, which means like it's a bigger life lesson rather than a smaller, detail oriented issue of the week. So, um, what it's talking about is it's time to release. Um, a lot of people are holding on to like old wounds, like a security blanket. And I know that that's sometimes hard to hear because it's like it's my wound, it's my wound, and it hurts me and it breaks me, and it's just there. What am I supposed to do? Well, the thing is, if you had a wound on your body, you would put medicine on it, you would put bandages on it, you would go easy on that area. You would do a lot of nurturing things to work on that wound. If you had a splinter, you would pull it out, right? So I just want to say that myself to explain as we move further, right? So they're saying it's the energy is right in the world to, and there's like so much, everyone, it feels like everyone feels like something's coming to a head. I see it online a lot. People are always talking about different things, religious things, political things, like everybody feels like something's coming to a head, and they're like, gosh, you guys all need to release some of that tension. You need to release some of that anxiety and worry in order to bring more prosperity, to bring fresh beginnings, to bring fresh air into your soul in the areas where you feel all that tension. Um, it's an investment in your your life force. So they're not just saying it's an investment in your life, this life you're living now. They're saying learning this lesson, which can take some considerable time, but it's a good time to remind everybody to start working on it or keep working on it, because they're not just saying it's good for this life, they're saying for your life force that you carry with you for eternity. Learning this lesson is beneficial for such a long time. And the amount of love and harmony it can bring, um, is just amazing. And now there's some warnings. They're saying don't don't you know empower yourself for the wrong reasons either. They're saying like don't do this stuff if you're trying to like if it's out of ambition, for it's like, well, I've got to fix this for myself because I've got this goal to reach, or I'm competitive with this person, right? So I got to get past this whatever hurdle that is causing me stress or that feels like a roadblock or whatever. They're advising this is not a project to advance you socially or financially necessarily, right? Like that's not what you should be on the lookout for. This is to like make your life happy and your life peaceful. And once that happens, all those other things can flood in without you needing to be competitive or even barely ambitious at all, because you're just floating on a sea of well-being. So they're advising don't do this out of competition. Don't rush any of your healing work. Um, uh, they're saying do a lot of it on your own. You don't need to be sharing it with other people. Matter of fact, they're sort of advising, um, like they're not saying don't talk to anybody, but they're saying like don't walk around telling everybody, well, I'm working on healing this, because then you get their opinions, right? And that's not a bad thing. It's because they love you. Usually, people that are giving your opinions are trying to be helpful, but in this particular case, they want you to all of us to be working on hearing our inner voice, which is God, right? Our inner voice is God, God source, Allah, Yahweh, whatever word you use. Um, and so they don't want us to be like seeking a ton of outside information. They want us to be listening. Um, now, uh, when they say, when they were talking about holding on to these things, I think they're talking about a lot of different types of healing. However, they're talking about there are some things that people sort of lean on. Like, okay, I'll use me as an example, right? I am genuinely and completely, um, genuinely diagnosed with a lot of illnesses, right? Genuinely. I genuinely have a lot of pain conditions. All of that is real, right? However, that's technically something for me to lean on and just say, well, I couldn't manage that because of this. And they're not saying, hey, you're going to be healed, immediately. But they're saying, hey, if you let some of it go, like there's some of the physical aspects you can't let go. But if you can let go your attachment or as identifying as a sick person, right? If you can let the anxiety part of it go and be like, this is my situation. I'm clearly here. I'm loved by God in the universe. There's a reason for this. I might have manifested it into my life, which means I can manifest it out, or it's here for a lesson or it's aligning me with all of the wonderful things I need to learn. And yes, some days are hard, and it is my reality, but I don't have to use it as my identifier. I don't have to carry it like my flag that I wave to define myself. And so they're talking about those types of anxieties, to drop those first, because those aren't things that are really like wounds that are super deep that take extra a lot of work. They are just labels we've put on ourselves to explain ourselves to other people. And they're kind of saying, listen, girl, listen, boy, you don't have to explain yourself to anyone but yourself. And if you want a happy life, and if you want a peaceful life, live it. You don't need them to tell you what they think about how your relationship with yourself builds, how you say, hey, all these people hurt me, but I don't care anymore. I'm letting it go. And it takes a while, right? But piece by piece, I'm letting it go, not for them, for me. And one day it won't be a thing. It won't be a thing I ever think of again. And my life will be so much lighter. I'm dropping so much armor. And the last thing that was on the bottom of the deck um, was in pursuing this healing, this self healing, you know, if you desire some type of crutch, right, or some type of guidance, they're advising rather than, talking to all your neighbors or whatever, or all your social groups or whatever, they're advising you to come up with something else, to put something into practicum for yourself, like a ritual, ceremony, a tradition, something structural, right, that you can do every day. That for some people that could be saying the rosary, and say, I'm saying this rosary because today I'm working on letting go of, X, Y, and Z, and this is my way to connect to the thing that's going to help me do that. Or I'm lighting this candle, I'm holding this crystal, I'm using these mala prayer beads, whatever it is, even if it's a song. Like, I use songs a lot. Like, it's like, okay, what am I working on right now? I'm working on the reality of pain. Okay, I'm going to find some songs that are like Imagine Dragons, right? Um, like first things first, and where I can stomp around and express my last bits of angst about it and do my best to let it go. So they're advising, if you have a desire, if you can do it on your own and just thinking about it and taking quiet time and identifying The first things that are the easiest to drop off of your backpack of emotional anxiety weight, um, just do that. But if you have a desire for a crutch, they're saying start yourself a little daily ritual. Doesn't have they're saying doesn't have to be longer than 2 minutes. Um, and start. But they're saying start now. Because all of these feelings about things coming to a head, they want to remind everybody every day things are coming to a head, and it it started to take like the term coming to a head has started to take on a negative context. Plants are pushing up from under the ground slowly every day. They're coming to a head. Every day, babies are being born. Slowly, they are coming to a head, right? Um, and all of those things are beautiful. So they would like to remind everyone that's feeling some sort of pressure, like something big is happening, that that doesn't mean it's bad. It usually means it's growth, even if you don't recognize it in the moment. And releasing all of your anxiety, opinions, and attachments to it. The type where you get yourself and other people all worked up almost for entertainment, if you can recognize it as that sometimes. Those are the first things they would advise you to drop. Okay, I just heard them say, "We love you so much." And that concludes this interlude of information. Thank you, guides. Thank you, angels, archangels, guides, and ascended masters, for the message that you sent us. I do understand what you mean about things coming to a head. I'm seeing it like all over the internet, like and people send me things about like the end of days or the end of the political structure or the and there is a lot of people that agree on that kind of stuff, and then everybody's got their little stuff too, and their labels that they put on themselves that they need to peel off, because nobody is a pain condition. They might have a pain condition, but it is not their identity. Thanks. Thanks, clock lady. That wasn't bad. My goal was 15 minutes. A minute 45 for me over isn't too terrible, considering how lengthy I can be. You've heard what a lot, Ladybug? Yeah. Well, I'm sorry. I'm sorry if you're there now, but they're saying the time is right, right? They're all online and ready to help and focus on that, you know? I'll focus on helping everybody drop whatever their weight is that they're carrying around that's extra. And they understand that the big ones take time, but they're not really talking about the big ones right now. They're talking about some superficial things that maybe we all walk around thinking are big, but they're asking us to contemplate what big really means and what's significant and what's not. I thought that was interesting, but it was really clear. I also liked what they said about things coming to a head. I appreciated that.
Yeah, me too.
You guys are nice. They're like, we're angels, dumbass. Of course we're nice. We love you guys. Yeah, it's everywhere. I agree. I've seen it on the internet, and then everybody has their individual stuff too, you know. And the time is nigh. You know, it also makes sense. So the people that like do sort of Christian Wicca combinations or Wicca type stuff, right? You know, we're coming up on Mabon on that calendar, and Bel is it not Beltane? Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. Oh my goodness, brain fog. Okay, but anyway, we're coming up on the time of year where in those structures they advise people to do their shadow work. They talk a lot about how the winter is coming, right? And things will quiet a lot, you know, because things get quieter out on the street and outside, and you do more inside things in a lot of places, and um, they talk in a lot about that is a great time to do shadow work because you can spend some serious time sort of alone with yourself without interruptions, and shadow work is sometimes hard or embarrassing, and so there's less people, it's only your closest people that are sort of witnessing you work yourself through that, so it's less like embarrassing, so you're less hesitant. So it's interesting. So like on the Wiccan calendar, like we're coming right up on the time when they are all like, like if you're paying attention to even those videos on YouTube, they're all going to be like, all right guys, it's time for the year for shadow work. um Everybody has a shadow because everybody has a light. So let's reach in there because we've got to love our shadows as much as we love our light. And so I think that's interesting. It coincides with that calendar. My friend Chris, who's in non physical, said, "That's because you're a witch." But he said it like Monty Python. She turned me into a newt when I got better. I like the Monty Pythons.
So do I.
I still think And Now for Something Completely Different is my favorite, but I have a short attention span too, so it's probably partially why. Um, but yeah, I don't know who the second person is watching the channel, but hi, we're sending you love. Oh, well, so I mean, the Pythons like were on TV when I was like 2 and 3 and 4, and then you can get them on disc now, like, but um, I think it has something with a lot of people. It has something to do with early exposure to them or something, and then it becomes part of their just own personal like pop culture vernacular, just like everything, right? If your parents watched Star Trek or Star Wars or whatever the thing was, yeah, it's funny. Hey, how you doing, MB? I'm always happy that if there's a lurker, I just want them to know that they're loved. So you never feel like pushed to say anything. We're just glad you're here. But I just like I wanted to send love because I can see the numbers sometimes, and it's like I know there's people here, and some of them could be robots, but I guess robots need love too. I don't know what I think about that. How are you though? I think everyone is pretty. I think everybody's pretty copacetic at the moment. I can't only speak for myself. I can let the other two do it now.
No, I think you're right. I think everybody's. I think we still sort of in the afterglow of that reading, really, because it was such a loving and important message. It's still sort of simmering on the surface, at least for me. You know,
Cat's gonna try and keep her fingers off the off the shadow button. I always love that phrase, cotton picking. Try to keep my cotton picking fingers to myself so I don't zap anyone. You can't help it that you're powerful. Don't hate me because I'm the one that can press the buttons. Or, it made me think of The Emperor's New Groove. Pull the lever, Crunk. Wrong lever. Why do we even have that lever? After they go down and get a big alligator clamping on their butt.
I've only seen bits and pieces of that movie from like clips, but I definitely need to watch that.
I know I quoted a lot, but man, Eartha Kitt played the villain in that one. Like, it's just, oh, it's so good. It's so good. Um, and I think that like all the characters in that were balanced, and I didn't expect to like because I usually like the musicals, and it wasn't one, right? But um, it was a really well balanced, like the Emperor's New Groove. It's John Goodman and David Spade, I think, as the primary voices, and then the guy that does the Tick, and I always forget his name, but I love his speaking voice.
Is it John Leguizamo you're talking about?
No, no, no. Maybe I mean the Flea. Oh golly, hold on. Now I'm just gonna look it up. Gosh and golly gee. Did you do anything fun this weekend? MB, did you put some Windex on? um, Patrick Warburton. I always forget his name.
That's a new name for me.
Um, I think you would for sure recognize his face.
Okay.
Um, but he because he's done sitcoms like as a full actor, but then he also is like Joe in Family Guy, who's the wheelchair gentleman. He's voiced Superman. He's voiced aliens in like Toy Story. Um, he's Buzz Lightyear in the Toy Story video games. To clarify, I always have to have an excellent supply of Windex and paper towels. 5 a.m. See,
Oh
I am
yes,
no
yes, I
longer
know him.
responsible. I'm no longer the bad girl that keeps you up, cat. At least this week. At least this week.
Yes, I know him. I know his face now.
Yeah. He did that sitcom, The Engagement or Happy Engagement, or it too had David Spade. I think they must be friends because they seem to land on projects together.
It's
Um,
always nice to be able to work with your friends.
and then why do did he do Space Ghost? I don't know if he did Space Ghost. I feel like he might have a character like on Space Ghost, which was I don't know if I'm old and it was a long time ago, but like back when Cartoon Network had like Cartoon Barbecue and the after hours programming with like Space Ghost and the Brack Show and um oh, okay, so you listen to all your saved are you talking about YouTube, Cat?
You were right. He did play the tick.
I knew it was like the tick or the flea. I
Yeah,
knew it was a bug. And it was like a super, like a comedic superhero thing. Um, I don't remember it well, but his voice is so distinct. So him with Eartha Kitt, right? Like they, I think that's the other thing. Two incredibly distinct voices, um, doing comedy together. Like I just, just works for me. What programs did you watch? Are we allowed to ask? Yeah, yeah. And like I like him a lot, right? And I even think about him as a performer a lot, but I like always forget his name for whatever reason. And I think Patrick Warburton's pretty distinctive as a name,
it is. Yes.
but I lose it every time. I don't know what I think he should be called. My brother's name is Zach, and like I'm not joking. Like when he was growing up, anybody that knew him like sort of well, like peripherally or sort of well, called him Noah. It was like, does the whole world think your name should be Noah, or are they like, what is it? But random people would be like, "Hey, Noah." Oh no, that's not you. So maybe it's a thing like that. Man, I feel really peaceful after that reading. Actually,
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It cast a spell.
well, I wondered why they said like universal and eternal. Like when I was like, "What's the length of this reading?" Universal and eternal. I don't hear that often. Plunder. Oh, yep. Duty Run, Court TV. I watch Plunder. I appreciate her um, combination approach a whole lot, actually. She's a woman that very much sticks to her faith and, always offers a prayer at the end, but she's an extremely thorough, like, crime journalist, I think. Yeah, I feel like I think a lot of us here do watch a lot of the same people. Um, Probably even a lot of like the same like meet other mediums and um, crime channels, and I suspect that where we all differ is our comedy YouTube choices.
I think so.
I suspect that that's where that's where everybody diversifies. Baker, who are some of your favorite mediums? I've never asked you that on this platform, on the YouTube platform. Oh yeah. I mean, like I when I found Psychic Sleuth, like I think I don't know if I told you about her cat or if you were already there, but there's been a handful of people I'm like, you got to get over there. She's very talented. And I watch the interview room because I don't dislike him, but it just depends on the subject. So I don't watch it like every episode. Depends on what Casey's talking about. I wasn't sure because I know that I invited it. Watched her for a while, and I was talking to Joe about it. I was like, she's really talented, and I do think people specialize, and um, I think she has just like everybody really strong suits and then medium suits, right? But she's pretty solid just throughout. And so it was like, I need to tell everybody she's awesome. And just like I think Kirtana at Real Tarot is good. Real Tarot 1123. Um, and I always with Kirtana, like her reads are always good, right? But I tend to watch her when I'm trying to work on building better boundaries for myself because she has such healthy boundaries. Um, just in every way. And so sometimes I go over there just to be in in the energy of her boundaries to try and learn about that because she's a boundary role model, and I think she's kind of wickedly funny, very dry.
Very subtle.
Hmm. And then of course, oh, the Reckoning. Okay, when you said politics, because I've been saying about the Reckoning Co. Um, that I think their strong suit is politics, actually, because people have been for a while. People were sending me going, "What do you think of this? What do you think of this?" And I've been like, I don't know personally how I feel about her true crime readings, but I tell you, her political readings. Now she is really hot on that, and I could never do that. Like I'm not informed enough, and I don't know if I care enough. That might be shameful to say. I'm not sure. Um, but her political readings I learn a lot from, and she's really right on the money with those very consistently. Oh, well, see, for me, when she does her political readings, like, what does she call it? It's like the news in reverse, or where she plays back some of her political readings. Because I'm always trying to study, right? I'm always trying to study other mediums and learn their stats and then learn my stats and things like that. And oh yeah, Alicia does a lot of politics too. I mean, comparatively to a lot of us that are like sitting here going, "You want to talk to your grandma?" Or "You want to hear about your boyfriend?" you know, um, she certainly. But she's been right. I think that's my point. She's been very, very right. I haven't been watching Reckoning Co. long enough to know how her true crime reads play out because it hasn't been a full cycle yet, right? Of one. Um, but I've watched her politics, be right. Who are the political ones? May I ask? Because maybe I'm just dumbly not aware of it. Yeah, Alicia does really disdain Holly weird, I believe she calls it, and many politicians, and yes, the royal family as well. Silent. I think I was waiting for certain responses. It was like, I think there's lag, and I also think it was like, eh. You have, is it Kat? Is it Alicia's layout board that you have? Isn't that, is that where you got that? It's somebody's layout board, right? Oh no, I'm not. I'm not usually interested in arguing. Ooh, okay, here you go. Just started, which is great. The real political ones are deep divers, like the political scene all the time, which I really like. The one I like is Linda G, the Comanche psychic. Okay, see, because I wanted a reference to check out. Thank you. Actually, looking her
Yeah,
up.
I don't think I'm familiar with those.
Linda G, the Comanche. Hold on, I'm gonna earmark that. Yeah, there she is. I already like her face. I like your face. Yeah, here, hold on. I'm gonna share this with Joe. Susan, Lynn. Okay, hold on. I'm looking that one up too. Boop boop boop. Okay, here, Susan. There you are, lady. This is a face I feel like I've seen before, but I don't feel like it was YouTube. That's weird. Susan, a professional psychic medium. Hmm. Let's see. Oh yeah, she's got a bunch. I'm interested in the one that's titled "Ghost Filled House, Ghost Party, or Infestation." I like her titles.
I'm guessing it's a ghost party.
It usually winds up being, in my experience, a ghost party. Yes, sir. Welcome back, Claudia. Lenormand. Yeah, Tarot Lenormand. I've got a Lenormand deck. Actually, my first deck was a Lenormand deck. And so adjusting to the non French way, that's so pretentious, but the non French way was difficult. Grand tableaus.
Do you realize whose voice you just channeled there?
Franny,
Yeah.
my dog in spirit. Grand tableaus. Yeah, Grand Tableau Lenormand reading. Let's see here, girl. A petit Lenormand Grand Tableau for a single question. Absolutely. Is it, wait, hold on now. There's a couple channels. Lisa loves Lenormand, Tarot Lenormand Wisdom, Tarot Tribe Beyond Words. Where are you? Grand Tableau. Lisa loves Lenormand. I suspect it's Lisa loves. Oh, then there's somebody, Georgiana Toland. It says Lenormand Grand Tableau, the opening trio. So, oh, House of Lenormand, Tarot's Apprentice, Jen Lin. Ah, okay, thank you. I looked up the wrong thing. Do. Okay.
It did seem like you fell down a rabbit hole a little bit.
Of Lenormand, I went to French land. Okay. House of Lenormand. Ooh, I like that she has a hummingbird cam. That's nice.
What's a hummingbird come?
So she's got a cam on her hummingbird feeder.
Oh, okay.
I'm sure that's wonderful. Petty Boots Sunday Club with Jenny and Johnny. Do they go on TikTok too? Okay, good night, Miss Cat. Sleep well. Yeah, Sunday Petty. I think I ran into this group on TikTok once. and they were an interesting group. I wandered into a live, and they were funny too. Okay, thank you. I've got a lot of new things to watch. Yeah, love you, Miss Cat. Sleep
S-
beautifully. Thank you for coming and helping.
Sleep well.
Yeah, I started TikToking because my guides were sort of, and they still are sort of saying, you need to platform jump and you'll have better luck. But I'm not been able to tune in on what platform. I'm not able to tune in on the platform. And so I didn't mind TikTok. I thought it was like fun, but I got a little like caught up in like doing funny things. And I did a few readings, but um man, the lives over there are really intense. And I don't know. Um there are quite a few real ones, but there's a lot more scammers over there. There's plenty of scammers everywhere, right? But like there's a lot more just overall scammers in every industry on the talk. In the lives more than like I enjoy the shorts, but and then my my husband who was always like never wanting to watch any link in the world has suddenly become the world's biggest TikTok fan, and it's like every day, every day I get like 100 TikTok links. It's like what's going on? Like you were pretty much a luddite. You were like, I don't even want to text on my phone. I don't want to set up voicemail. I don't want to look at YouTube. I want to listen to the radio. And then it's like, did you see it on the talk? Yeah, there's more scammers over there. I mean, like, if you're ever just curious, like, just bounce over there for a minute. Like, you can just feel it. You feel the energy. Like, it's sort of like, I don't know, going down the boardwalk in Venice Beach, where everybody's reaching out, going, "Do you want to buy this? Do you want to buy? Do you want to buy this? Do
Yeah,
you want?"
it's like walking down the seedy side of town where they may have legitimate shops, but people might sell you stolen items as well.
Yeah, and they're like opening up their coat and being like, "Hey, Mac, you want this watch? You want this watch?" And they talk real fast and do things real shiny, like, and people buy into it, and it's like the new oh, what did they call it when they used to do all of that, like selling stuff on TV, shopping TV, shopping network, but it's all there
Shopping
now,
network, yeah.
and there's 1,000 channels. Just yes, yeah, it was just like it's like it reminds me of Venice Beach, um, because I was going to say somewhere else, other places, but there are other places where there's bartering. There's no bartering on the talk, right? They're like, this is $1 million. You want it, you will have it. Um, and some of the performers on at Venice would like stalk me halfway down the beach, determined. Hey, I'm dressed up like a caveman carrying a spear. You will give me $5. It's like, oh, I don't have $5, yo, unless I'm gonna go to like a pollo loco. Yeah, the performers will follow you, like especially once they recognize you after a while on Venice. They're like, I've counted how many times you've walked by me in the last week, and I'm getting upset. It's like, this is not performative. This is something else. This is this was more colorful version of mugging or something. I'm gonna mug you, but I'm gonna smile and tap dance. Yeah, but I mean, I know that you have some connective psychic abilities. So like just logging in once, you'll hear it. You'll hear it. You'll hear the energy. It's almost like walking into a casino. It's nutty. But, like I did enjoy I enjoy a little nutty, but I the lives are too scary for me. And so I was like, I'm never first of all, you have to have a certain number of followers to do it live, but also it was like I don't really want to do one here. Like it feels like I'm joining in a line of snake oil salesmen or something. I mean, people would pay somebody $5 to write their name on a piece of paper so they could see their name on a piece of paper in the live. And then there'd be hundreds of people paying $5 to see their name written on a piece of paper. Now, that person had nice penmanship, but it wasn't anything they were going to purchase or sell. And so I don't completely get it. Um, but a lot of people like it. Oh yeah, tell me. Different than the others. Third eye champagne. Does politics, drunken tarot, fun, history, subjects, or whatever the chat suggests a bit crazy but fun. Third eye champagne. Hold on, I gotta get into my phone and find it. Third eye. There you are. Psychic readings for the ass is the title I just saw. I already like her. Oh, I need to look at her website because she's funny. Thirdeyechampagne.com. Let me see you, girl. Oh yeah, she's okay. She's practicing Wiccan too. That's cool. Wow, this is quite a website actually.
Did she get answers to those dirty questions?
Oh, I'm sure she does. Spirit loves that shit. Spirit loves that. They're like you hear me talking about it all the time. The door swings open. You can hear them clinking glasses. You see smoke come out of it. Like And that generation of spirits, like they're all still drinking and smoking and rubbing elbows and rubbing other things, I guess. Yeah, she's been working. She must be working a long time, or else she's got an excellent website builder because this is very thorough. I think some of the like world's most famous mediums don't have a channel like a website this good. Third Eye Champagne. I'm looking forward to watching. We probably Joe's like, oh man, I know what we're doing tonight. We're
No,
gonna watch
if that could elicit such gleeful laughter from you, I'm looking forward to it.
Sweet, sweet boy. You bet she does. You should get on her list because people always ask for personal reading, which group doesn't usually do. They concentrate on politics, so they vet the psychic they recommend. Oh, okay. So you're saying like they're like, hey, we don't do personal, but we can reference you to someone. I went through this vetting process. Like I was contemplating joining a network earlier this year instead of trying this channel thing, like a website that is like all psychics and it's almost like digital booth rental sort of. And I just stayed quiet about it and just did like all of their tests and did like a sample reading for them. And like they were all, I was in, I was ready to go. And then I didn't like the contract because I read fine print and I don't think they expected us all to. Yeah, that's interesting. Like I would be interested in that because I probably couldn't help much with political, but I can personal pretty I'm getting more confident every day about. I mean, I the truth is I've been doing it for so long, but like I just the internet is such a different beast. Yeah, I no, I sort of felt that. That's why I was like, "Oh, I'm interested in that." That's not like you're joining their channel or their collective. It's just like, "Hey, no, we don't do that, but we can recommend these 5 people." That makes sense to me. They don't want people getting ripped off. They don't want anybody marring their good opinion, that their people hold of them. I get that because they seem big, like like they've got big stuff going on. But yeah, when it came down to that, like sort of digital psychic network, and I actually at first like I was like I don't know what I think about this, so I like you can get a free read from a couple if you're considering if you're an applicant, right? You can get free reads from them first too to see like does this match me, and I like wasn't sure. It was like 1 out of 3 were solid. Um, but I thought, hey, like if they handle all of the tech, maybe it's worth it. But I'm still not sure. Someday there'll be a better structured, or I'll find a better structured group um, where they're not, you know, requiring such a like an inappropriate cut of deal. They also demanded that like you do horoscopes, and they didn't mean chart. Like they didn't mean sit down and legitimately do it. They're like, nope, just write them one. It's like, they didn't even want it channeled. You know what I mean? They were advising us to like scam, but offer multiple services, and I just like I didn't like it. Now, if like for a long time there, like on Tumblr, I wrote animal horoscopes because I thought that was funny. They weren't channeled. They were just to be funny. Like this week, your dog really needs to. Your Aries dog might get in trouble in the dog park. That kept me entertained for I don't know several months at least. We just Joe and I watched today. This is totally random, but I just love monkey shines. Monkey shines are my favorite. And so we watched this woman that runs one of the Victorian channels here on YouTube, and did sort of like she was feeling like doing shenanigans, and so she decided she was going to open an OnlyFans for showing Victorian ankle. So she did a photo shoot, and she sort of did little documentary here about about how she went about setting up her OnlyFans, and she showed the photos of the flashing of the Victorian ankle in the right period stockings and boots and clothes.
And she was very excited about the boots and the clothing. You could tell she was invested in that.
Well, and it was lovely too because she was like, "I'm only leaving it open for a week. Any money that gets raised is for this charity, right?" So people were enjoying that too. But it was great. Like in 2 days, she got 1,000 subscribers because she listed it as free, I guess, but people could tip, and so and she got lots of like sexy-ish letters from people, but they were all speaking writing in old English or and so it was the whole thing was very.
And as Jane Austen characters, right? They
Oh
wrote
yeah,
in character.
she said the number of Jane Austen men that wrote me about my Victorian ankle.
And she made a tidy profit, didn't she? She made
She did.
a good bit of
So
money.
she made $619 in tips, and she said if she had monetized it to be just like the first level, which I guess is like $1 or $2 or something, she would have wound up making in total like $5,000 for that week. And I thought, wow, I have an ankle, but like I don't have like she had. I mean, she's much better skilled. She's clearly a costumer and a costume historian as well. Um, and so, but it was fantastic. Monkey Shine's my favorite. So I'm really, really excited about Third Eye Champagne, is what I'm saying. Hmm.
I think you should publish a book of pet horoscopes for like, you know, 2024 book of animal horoscopes as parody, of course.
Yeah, I mean, it was really fun. Like you know, like how on Tumblr, like I'd write my poetry and stuff, and different like little online magazines would be like, "Hey, we'd like to publish and offer you blah blah blah," right? And that was lovely, right? Like that was lovely. I wanted to write anyway, so it didn't matter. But what got me a ton of subscribers was those weird ass pet horoscopes because people wanted to come over. Oh wow! See, Midnight has two ankles. She could make double the money.
Wow.
I wish I could wolf whistle. Oh my gosh, you could make $10,000 a week using your
Maybe,
ankle.
yeah, maybe one ankle could be Victorian and the other one could be Edwardian or something.
Yes, I call this one Mickey and this one Eddie.
There you go.
They're my money makers. So, like, I wonder if there are lovely women in the Orient saying, "I'm giving geisha wrist," because that was the one of the big things with geisha is wrist exposure. right? So if somebody's doing an OnlyFans for geisha wrist,
Yeah, because the Chinese foot binding would just be too cruel.
yeah, and that would bring in a crowd that's not like
Not a savory crowd
necessarily
at all. Yes,
it's not silly and not even like
whimsical or anything like
right.
that.
Yeah, I think it would bring in some. I mean, you know me personally. I have no problem with the BDSM element, but I think it ruins the monkey shine a little bit.
Agreed. Agreed. Mm.
I don't know. I'm sitting here like imagining midnight, like hitting up the OnlyFans right now, like typity 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 type, ready for more of that spicy, spicy ankle content. This time, double the ankles.
Or she could have them set in a bakery.
Oh, I mean, maybe she is a midnight baker. I've always assumed it was a marijuana reference, but I might be wrong. Or it might be a double entendre. Big money, baby. There's not many pet psychics out there on the platform, which is surprising with how popular animals are on YouTube. Yeah, I mean, I talk a lot. I mean, I talk to a lot of people's deceased pets. Nobody ever asks me about um
The horoscope.
their no, their living ones, right? And I'm becoming more adept at that too. I'm not somebody like that could be identified as like a horse, with it's only the animals I'm around, right? Which right now are like outdoor common animals like squirrels, squirrels, birds, chipmunks, rabbits, and then the people that live in my house like dogs, cats, birds. Totally foodie. Okay. See? So you had it right, Joe.
But is it a weed reference, Midnight Baker?
No, she said totally foodie.
No, but I mean, you said that you thought it might have been a weed reference. So I'm trying to figure out how would it have referred.
Oh, okay, because with you could call smoking weed getting baked. A lot of people are like, I'm gonna get baked.
I see. Yeah, that makes sense.
And so I wasn't sure. And then some people might get baked and then actually bake something, so just had a donut. Yum. Yum. I was a pretty heavy pot smoker in my like late teens, early 20s. Mm, yeah. And then I mean I always smoked, but like I was heavy then at that time, pretty heavy. And we had a 24-hour Krispy Kreme, like a block from our apartment. And the guy started calling, instead of just straight out calling us stoners, he started calling us the 3 a.m. Krispy Kremers. Like, they're in the 3 a.m. Krispy Kremers. And
Sounds like a good name for a band.
3 a.m. Krispy Kremers. Yeah. Oh, well, that's interesting. Yeah. I thought it was either, well, see, just like Joe was like food, right? I was like, we like you could see what we're both thinking of at least
Yeah,
at the
our
moment,
priorities. You could tell what our priorities are.
and they're right there. And so I always thought, okay, it was either weed and baking, or just weed. But that's how everybody looks at their own eyes, and gets it wrong.
Do they refer to weed as sensi where you live?
As what?
Sensi, SENSEI, like, martial arts instructor.
No.
Because here, they refer to weed as sensi. I think it comes from a shortened form of sensimilla, which is, I
Huh.
think it's Jamaican. I can't remember. I don't know what the reference is, but it wouldn't be surprising to hear somebody say they're going to smoke up some sensi. in my
Interesting.
area.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think weed probably has more euphemisms than probably any other uh, consumable. You know.
I don't know. I mean, I think any of the illicit ones have multiple names because everybody was trying to talk in code about it.
Yeah, true.
Um, but I think weed is also the most universally accepted of that group too. So there,
Yeah,
there might have been more more of them than the rest.
I saw this documentary where they said they found traces of marijuana in the pyramids. And that at the time they didn't weed wasn't known to have grown there, but they believe like the ancient Egyptians used to smoke weed or use it medicinally or something.
Oh, I mean, if something akin to it grew there, I'm sure they used it
Yeah,
um, for something, either spiritual use or pain relief, or
yeah, because it's a lot of the stuff that the yogis smoke in India. It includes weed. They
oh
have
yeah,
their own concoctions, right? But certainly marijuana is part of that sort of spiritual medicine.
oh yeah, so many cultures. But I agree with Midnight that sensei is interesting because it's like teacher, right? And it can be if you're using it for that reason. But if it's a Saturday night and you're just going to pound a bag of Doritos, I guess it just teaches you Doritos
Yeah,
are good.
because when I was in university, I took up karate lessons, and I was telling my roommate about my sensei, and he just kept giggling, you know, and I didn't know it because I just moved in and we just met and so on. But uh, he was an avid weed smoker, and it just tickled him pink that I was using the term sensei to mean not weed.
Cat just sent me a link. Storyboot Tarot. I'll have to watch it. Yeah, I bet at night they were like, um, let's chill. We were talking about Bashar earlier, um,
Hmm.
and he's someone like sort of like Abraham Hicks or like the Seth tapes or Edgar Casey or something, and um, he was talking about how a lot of the religious elders and stuff would go and lay down in the pyramids around the old pharaoh or the old kings or whatever, and basically meditate in groups and then
Right.
work on like out of body experiences and things. Okay, well, so Reverend Donna Serafina
Excuse
is
me.
is is very talented in my opinion. Um, and Psychic Sleuth is very with it. I think she's very tapped into um, a lot of different things. And I do love Kirtana on Real Tarot 123. Um, like I said, I'm really interested in her boundaries. She also brings in a lot of she sort of combines the tarot that I sort of have learned in my life with the different types of sort of card reading that she learned when she was in India. So she mixes them, and I think that that's really interesting to watch. Um, and she has pretty good accuracy. Like for example, um, just recently, like when Alicia Navarro resurfaced, I thought, oh, I've never looked to see if Kirtana has Alicia Navarro reading, right? And she literally, like, she was like, she's okay. Like, I mean, it's not a good situation, but she's okay. And there are people that are at least clothing her and feeding her, and she'll probably turn back up when she's 18 or 19. And I was like, dang, girl, you did that reading like 3 years ago, 2 years ago. Um, and of course, there's just no one that's perfect, but I think they have some seriously high stats, um, those three. And also, those three, none of them feel scammy either. Because there's some people that have talent that are still scammy, right? In other ways. And none of them have that vibe, right? They're there. I feel like out of their own desire to learn and to be helpful to people, and I think that's important. Um, it's so interesting though because what's the discourse, like in terms of in the chat, in the scammy rooms, sometimes the chat's more fun because I think in some ways after a while we're trying to ignore the scamminess, right? So we all just sort of have fun together, whereas it requires more focus and you want to really pay attention to, learning from someone in those rooms where it's a very genuine experience. So um, it's an interesting thing that people recognize each other and respect each other in those rooms, but they don't like play around, horse around. And so every once in a while, like I'll be like, I kind of miss Scammy because I miss like playing with the people in the chat.
What were you saying about Cortana's talent for boundaries?
Yeah, she's she's so good at Um,
But what is the what is the chat like in her room?
well, okay, well, so she's very open. It's very open discourse. People can talk amongst themselves. She has no problem with that, right? But she doesn't take any, negativity going any direction. And rather than like just being, some people are like, I just choose to block. Like she just says, I firmly disagree, and if you're going to continue, you must leave. Or
Oh,
sometimes
that's
she'll actually sort of tell them off as too like a too strong wording, but she will say, hey, because she's like, if she's sort of has stated, I feel like if I don't, they'll just come back later. And if um, if I do it the right way, if I tell them off in a boring enough way that they don't really want to come back and argue with me, they're just gonna go.
boring enough way. That's interesting. What you mean a way that doesn't generate drama then?
Yeah, yeah. But she's succinct. She's succinct about it.
Yeah.
Linda G. Yeah, I've got them. I've got them marked. I also think it's super great that they're in a situation where they don't have to, right? That means that they have good jobs or something else going on in their lives. And I wish, like, I mean, I think everyone around here knows that for me personally, like, I wish that it could just be free because it's just weird. It's a weird thing um, to set a rate on and all kinds of things. But I can't, um, at least presently, hold down anything else.
And maybe they have another monetization model, perhaps, you know.
I don't know. I think if they never ask for money, that means they probably don't. Or actually, like my dream sort of is once I have enough, subscribers to monetize and run ads, then I wouldn't have to.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
know, that can become the substitution for having to ask for that people to pay for readings. I mean, like the people that want me to track down someone, and they want like 4.5 hours of my time. I think that might be a different ball of wax. Um, but like on here when it's 15 minutes to 45 minutes and it's everybody's watching, and it's public, so it's not deeply personal, and or if it is, they're comfortable with it being deeply personal in public. Um, that's so nice.
Yeah,
See,
that's awesome.
I aspire to reach that point of um, abundance in my life that could happen someday. I mastered the arts, right? Like I got paid for the arts for freaking 34, 35 years. Never really had to have secondary jobs. So if I can do that, I can figure this out eventually. Also, like this week, anytime I did a reading, like one time I did the reading and then I rewrote the person's resume. Another time I did a reading and I house hunted for them. Another recent one, I hooked them up with a roommate service and helped them set up their accounts. Like I see, I just too much of a wuss. Yeah, I bet like once the channel gets to a certain size, it's like, I can't. I apologize, I can't do that. Um, I'm guessing, even if she just opened it up and said, "Okay, next week I'm going to do readings," like she'd fill up so fast that it'd be like, "Okay, I got a week's worth already." Like I'm. Do they ever do offline stuff? Like, does she go to places? Because I was just thinking the way to do that, if she wanted to, maybe she doesn't want to, but if she wanted to, like one of the ways to do that is to do like those group, um, I don't know, like auditorium gigs or whatever. I'm not really sure what to call it. Yeah, no, but I do. I really do aspire to be in their position and hope that that'll happen someday. But yeah, it's interesting. Like it's like, what do you call this? Because Nook the other day said, I think you're like my life coach. And I said, I don't know if that's okay. I don't know that I'm qualified for that. And um and any information, like any advice I'm giving you like in the readings doesn't come from me, right? She's like, yeah, but then they say you need to fix your resume, and then I say I can't, and then you say, well, send it to me, like she's like, so I don't know what you do, what you are. I said, yeah, that's my problem too. I don't know what I are either. What are I? What are I? Retired from theater. That's what I are. Oh, I got a big bunch of education from Joe about marijuana sinsemilla, cannabis sinsemilla, Spanish pronunciation, sinsemilla, also known as sinsemilla, sinse or sensei, can be translated into English as seedless cannabis. It is the female cannabis plant that has not been fertilized and therefore does not develop seeds, increasing the concentration of cannabinoids and terpenes. Interesting. It's the Virgin Mary of weed. Yeah, you're right. Oh, does she? I will check out Third Eye. These have been good tips. I'm so glad you were here, Baker, because I've wanted to talk to you for a long time. I'm sad that it's getting late for me, but um, it's been like she's fun. I want to talk to her. I want to talk to her. I want. I love the group, but like I want them to shut up a minute so she can talk too. I think it's also because when Wolf was texting me about some of your stuff, because she texts everybody about everybody's stuff. Um, and I hope it's okay. But like I was encountering sort of your papa, and he was so wonderful, right? And it was like, and see, like I already liked her just instinctually, and then I can see how like her dad's wonderful. So it's like I want her to talk, you guys. So anyway, I just mean thank you, thank you for hanging out. Yeah, all my humans have been saying, "I think it's time for you to rest now, sick lady," and then I just got the head tap. So you guys now you humans, you've been validated. All of you that are like, "Girl, go back to bed." So I don't know if there's a lag or what's going on. It's been lovely. Anyone that's turned up tonight, thank you so much. I'm probably going to crop the since there's been so much blither blather. Um, I'm probably going to crop out the reading for everybody. And I'm sending so much love and light. Should do every Friday. $5 intention prayers, all kinds of ideas. Yeah. Yeah, I can't wait to learn. So thank you so much. You've given me so much to learn from, and I look forward to seeing you again. I'm sending you love and light, and everyone else that's been here love and light, and we'll all talk soon, I hope. Good night.